Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video, I'll be showing you how to make your very own futuristic modern house with a water slide. If you're new to the channel and you like this sort of stuff, please do consider subscribing and clicking the little bell next to the subscription button. That'll ensure that you get all of my stuff sent directly to your sub box. Here are all of the materials that we will need to make our house. Please do make sure that you have access to all of those materials and enough of them as well. So now that we have all of our stuff, we can get started. So the first thing that we have to do is make the entrance area because everything stems from the entrance. Start by placing 8 grey concrete on top of each other. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We then want to do 2 things. Number 1, extend to the right by 3, 1, 2, 3, and join all the way down to the ground. And numero 2, we want to take that 8th block that we placed earlier, extend it backwards by 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We then want to, on top of that block, place 3 orange glass, 1, 2, 3. And extending backwards, so this is towards the back of the build, we want to place an up, back diagonal using the orange glass. We want to extend it back 1 block. We want to place like a down, back diagonal, and extend down by 2, so 1, 2, and then we want to join it together diagonally at the bottom. So essentially what we want to have is kind of an oval shape, basically a tall circle. So now that we have our oval shape, we want to extend it to the left and right by a certain amount. So we want to extend it to the right by 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we want to extend it to the left by 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we can do this right now. This is going to be how you get to the water slide portion of your... I don't know whether to call this like a futuristic house or just a straight up weird modern house. I really haven't decided on a title yet. But regardless, this is kind of like a tube that takes you from the left side of the house to the right side of the house. Otherwise, I haven't designed a way to really get there otherwise. I mean, you can, of course. I mean, the house, you can join it in any way that you want. But in my head, I like the idea that to get to the fun part of the house, you really do have to explore. But again, you can make things a little bit more boring if you want to. It's a little bit boring if you connect everything together. I kind of like conditional rooms that you can only get to if you go a particular certain way. But that's what we want to have right now. And in addition to this, what we can do is take the opposite side of the grey concrete area that we have here. So we extended the 8th block backwards. We can take the other corner and we can extend this backwards by 13. So this is tricky, right? Because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So what you're going to have to do, of course, is you're just going to have to move through the orange glass almost as if it's not there, but keep it keep counting as if you were placing grey concrete, and you're going to want to have the same effect, by the way, for the opposite side. So we're going to have to extend that block backwards by 13, we extend it down to the ground, we want the same road that we have on the front, we want to extend it across and down and forward. So this is exactly what we want to have. That is kind of like where everything comes from. This is such a weird looking part of the build. I want you to grab your light blue stained glass, and we're going to be using this on both sides of the build. So come to the right side of the build at the bottom. You want to, behind the grey concrete that you placed, stick another grey concrete, but right of that, place 2 glass block, 1, 2. Stick a smooth quartz block on the end and extend it upwards by 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Had to count that for myself, that's why I counted that twice. Extend it back into the build, place glass underneath this, and then smooth quartz block underneath that. So the point of this is that we can then extend the smooth quartz backwards it wants to line up with the same place on the back of the build. So if you're unsure, on the back of the build you can place your grey concrete and then 2 light blue glass extending from it, and we kind of end up with that F shape that we have on the front. So that's exactly what we want to do, nice and simple. So just like this, we can add the same glass that we have on the front. The side wants to be filled in, because otherwise, and I alluded to this earlier, is you can connect the whole house together if you want to, but I like the idea of there being a solid wall in between here and the area to the right. So we'll just leave it like that for the moment. It's actually quite fine in its skeletal form as it is. And on the left side, we want to do the same thing. So basically, grey concretes extending inwards from both of the bottom corners, 2 glass extending outwards from the grey concretes, and then we grab the smooth quartz block and we place 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We extend it inwards like this. We place glass underneath, and you guys get the idea. We place glass underneath, we place some smooth quartz block underneath that, and we do the same for the back, and then we connect it together front to back. We will be sealing the wall, just like we did on the opposite side there, but again, on this side, this is the intentional way that I would like to maneuver through the house. So this is actually going to be opened up a little bit later on. We'll discuss that when we get there. And this is what we have so far. So a relatively normal looking modern house, really, with that on top of it. A doorway is going to be at the bottom of the build here. So this is where a door will be. We can represent that by actually placing the door. We'll get rid of the orange glass because I hope we don't need it again. We'll grab a door, and let's just use a floor material, perhaps some quartz. Chuck the door there. That's how we'll be getting in and out of the build. Above that, place a row of grey concrete. Above that, a row of glass. You can use pane or block. And then above that, another row of grey concrete. And then fill the top of this in using light blue glass. There you go, perfect. What would I then recommend doing? Fill the grey concrete area in front to back like this. So making sure that we don't have any gaps whatsoever, fill in the grey concrete area. So on the left and the right side, just like this. You can then, on the back of the build, kind of decide how you want to divide this. You could divide it the same way that we have on the front. You could add a back door if you want to, although I'm not going to. Or you could have the same dividations of grey concrete and glass that we have on the front. So feel free to do that. So you would have a 2x2 space where the door is, grey concrete, glass, grey concrete, and then glass up at the top here if you wanted to. So just like this. And then we can fill the top of this in. You can fill the block of quartz area, I almost called it white concrete, the block of quartz area in using block of quartz, or you can fill it in with glass. I'm going to opt for glass because it's quite high and I don't think it will look, it'll actually look quite nice, I think, from the inside. So there we go, quite a simple modern house really, again with that. So now that we have done that, we can move on to the next part of the build. So we're going to start making some of the large silo structures. Oh, we can even fill that in with glass as well. We can start adding some of the large silo structures in on the left and right hand sides. We'll start with the left because it's a little bit more complicated. So come to the bottom front left hand corner of the house, which happens to be this smooth quartz. I want you to move backwards from this block. We want to move backwards to by 2. So we want to find the third block specifically. This will be 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Place 2 light grey concrete extending out. 1, 2. Extend forwards 1. Place 2 light grey concretes forwards and to the left. Go left by 3. 1, 2, 3. And then place 2 light grey concretes going back and left. 1, 2. Go back by 1. Place a back left diagonal, light grey concrete, and go back by 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're then going to place an upright diagonal, so to speak, as we look at the ground. Up by 1. 2 upright diagonals. 1, 2. Right by 3. 1, 2, 3. 2 bottom right diagonals. 1, 2. Go down 1. right one, and then you can even connect down if you want to. So the end result should look like this. And I know it is a little bit different on the left as it is to the right. There's a reason for that. Okay, so what you can do is you can, on top of all of the grey concretes, add another layer of grey, if you like. Just add an additional light grey concrete on top of every single light grey. We're going to build a little bit of a room here. So this is eventually going to be a room. We're going to use light blue glass block, and we're going to... You know what the thing is? It might be better for us to wait a little bit because a lot of these rooms build into each other a little bit. So it might actually be better for us to wait. So I'll tell you what, let's make more of the structure of the house and then we can actually come back to this a little bit. So, okay, so next we're going to grab our smooth quartz block and we're going to move over to the left. In front of the long row of light grey concrete that we have here, we want to place some smooth quartz block. We actually want to place 8 coming up from the ground in this corner right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We want to go right by 3. 1, 2, 3, and then we want to join down. Now we don't want to go down to the ground, but if you make it at least the height of the light grey concrete, you can't go too far wrong. We're then going to come back up to this. We're going to take the left and right sides of the quartz and we're going to extend up by 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we're going to join them together left to right like this. And this is the shape that we want to have. We're then going to take the tops of the shape, the left and right corners, and extend backwards by 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And the same over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we want to join them together, and then we're going to take the corners and we will join them down to the ground. At least the outer part will join down to the ground. But the inward part, again, we don't want to extend it down too far because we're actually going to have to shave a couple of blocks off of it anyway. You'll see why later on. It's like I said earlier, this is a room and we don't want to have like, we don't just want to have random blocks of quartz piercing the roof of the room. We want the same horizontal quartz row that we have on the front of the build, by the way, so we want to have something which should look like this. What we're now going to do is grab grey concrete. And we're going to build a little, actually we'll be using first of all the light blue glass block, and we want to one row inwards from both of the quartz blocks. We want to place 2 light blue glass, 1, 2, 1, 2 like this, extending out. We then want to stick grey concrete on the end, and we want to extend the grey concrete upwards by 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We then want to extend inwards by 2, 1, 2, and then we want to take that 7th block and we want to extend it upwards by a further 3. So 1, 2, 3, and then we want to extend it inwards again. So 1, 2. So we want to have something which should look like this. It's just an accent on the shape that we have just to the left of us. We can extend all of the grey concrete backwards, and then we want to add the same splits in the grey concrete as we have on the front of the build. So we want to kind of like match the front to the back, like when we eventually hit the top here, just like this. We're going to fill the roof of this in, just like this. We're going to add that same split there, which is perfect. And then all of this can actually be filled in with glass. And now I use glass block, but you can use glass pane. I'm actually going to experiment with the pane a little bit. So just like this, here, here. Oh, my bad. There we go. The pane will all, I will place blocks so that the pane actually grips a little bit later on. There's no need to really do it now. So here and here, just like this. Whoa, there we go, perfect. That went very smoothly. It never usually does with the glass pane, but that's looking pretty good, ladies and gentlemen. Now that we have done that, what we can then do is we can focus on this little light grey area. So again, this light grey area is a room. We want to add light blue glass block all the way around the top of the room. So it's basically just extending inwards from the light grey concrete, just like this, just one row inwards, just kind of like goes all the way around. It's basically just to provide a little bit of separation between the body of the room and the roof of the room. And you'll see what I mean in just a mo, because now that that's done, what you then want to do is place a row of light grey concrete that is basically just a row in between the previous row of light grey concrete. So the light grey concrete is in the exact same position like this. There we go. It's in the exact same position, but it's just one row higher, and it has the glass in between, so it looks a little bit fancier. And eventually, what am I backing onto? Oh, there, of course, the giant glass tube in the air. How could I ever forget? So it'll just end up looking a little something like that. So you see, it's quite a cool effect. You can then fill the top of it in with whatever you like. I'm going to remove 2 of these quartz because we won't need them. And then, yeah, you can literally fill it in with whatever. I mean, I'm using glass for this, but yeah, glass is probably the best material for me. I really like a lot of open roofs, especially when it's quite a small room. It's only 2 rows high. So if we were to like box it in by using, say, light grey concrete instead, which is a perfectly suitable option, then it might feel a little bit cramped. But the glass, at least you have the open top roof, it just feels a little bit bigger when you're on the inside. But you can see how that really melts together nicely. What are we then going to do? Well, the quartz structure that we have connected to it, we're going to join it. So on the inside, we're going to place just quartz block. We're going to completely fill it in using block of quartz, just like this. So, like so, here, and here, just like this. That's not looking too bad. And then what we're going to do next, we have to, yeah, we'll fill the inside, the opposite side as well in with block, just so that the glass grips. I was going to say the grass glips. Is glip a word? It sounds like a word. Maybe it's kind of like gloomy. You're looking very glip today, Jim. I don't know. Somebody look that up. Don't bother. Anyway, it doesn't sound like a word. We're going to then fill the front and the back of this in using light blue glass pane, and you can see how this is really turning out rather nice now. I mean, this entire left side of the house is almost pretty much done. The only thing that I am realizing is perhaps we did place the tube a little bit too close to the front. We may have to alter that, unfortunately, and move it 1 row backwards. You see, the issue that we will have, or it might not be an issue, we'll see how it looks, is that when we place accents onto the outside of the tube, it lines up with the quartz, which is no bueno, because it won't look as good. So we may have to move the tube 1 row backwards, which is unfortunate. I would actually restart the tutorial at this point if I wasn't so far in. So, the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to make the right side of the house, because that left side of the house I think looks rather spectacular. It looks very futuristic. Almost looks a little bit... It kind of looks like a nuclear power plant or something. I don't know, maybe I'm imagining things, but anyway, we're going to grab the light grey concrete. We're going to come to the right side of the build. And also fill this little window in. We're going to grab the light grey concrete. We're going to come to the bottom right hand corner of the right side of the build. We're going to move backwards by... how many rows? By 1, and then 2 here. So it's the same, I do believe, as the left side. And then we're going to place 2 light grey concretes extending to the right. 1, 2. We're then going to extend forwards 1. We're then going to place 2 outward diagonals using the light grey concrete. So 1, 2. We're then going to move to the right by 3. 1, 2, 3. We're going to place 2 back right diagonals, 1, 2, up 1, right 1, up by 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, go left 1, up 1, place 2 up left diagonal, so 1, 2, left by 3, 1, 2, 3, 2 bottom left diagonals, 1, 2, go down, in, forwards. So the end result of the shape should look like this, and once again it's an oval shape. So this oval shape in particular is going to be 13 rows high. Well, we're going to add 13 rows on top of it, I should say. It's not 13 rows high. We want to take this and we want to place 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 rows directly on top. Now, that is quite a lengthy task. So we're going to do this with all of the light grey concrete, and then after we have added all of this, we are going to add windows and such. So let's just extend all of this up and around. It is going to be a long time, but okay. So the point of this part of the build, as I mentioned, is this houses the water slide. So the way that we get up to the super cool fun water slide is that we take a left as soon as we enter the build. We climb up our grey and white tower. We walk through our orange glass tube. That takes us to the second level of the silo, and then we are able to access the slide. You can even go down into the silo, and that maybe we can have like a secret room or something there. That's kind of like my idea. And well, not a secret, like nothing is a secret with this build. You've just got to explore. That's my favorite part of houses. I've said it time and time again. I like a house where you don't quite, like, if you take a look at this from the outside, right, you'll see like, oh, it's got a left side, it's got a right side, it's got a middle. Obviously, if I go to the right side, if I just go in and go to the right, then I'm in the right side of the build. I'm in this large light grey building that we're actually making right now. You would be wrong. No. To get to the right side, you actually have to go left, up, and then through a giant tunnel. And you should know that. No, the whole point of this is that you have to explore. That's the entire point. That's where the fun is. Like, if your friend comes in your house and you're like, oh yeah, I'm just in the, you know, I'm in the upper bedroom. Come find me. I want them to have to spend a good 10 minutes figuring out exactly how one would get there. I want you to have to walk through rooms. I want you to have to explore. That's where the fun is, or at least it is. For me, I think that that's fun. I like exploring. I like laying things out in such a way that one is forced to explore. And then once you know where everything is, it's almost as if it's not quite a secret, but you guys get the idea. It's like you kind of like, yeah, I know how to get here. I don't know. It's a little bit more interesting. But we've made a large light grey structure here on the right. Now it's starting to look like a nuclear power plant. So above this, we want to fill the entire top of this in using light blue glass block. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing. The entire thing, the entire top of this thing is going to be filled in with light blue glass block. Now, this is also going to serve as the ceiling. It's going to serve as the roof. Once again, it's actually going to be quite a high room, so I think that glass is quite appropriate. And then I'm going to place smooth quartz slabs around the top of the outside of this. Now, the smooth quartz slabs basically wants to follow the same pattern and the same shape as the light grey concrete, which is just below. So just like this. Here. So basically, I'll show you this in a second. It follows the same path, hence why I keep like joining blocks in the corners, and it really shouldn't matter, but it kind of does. So I want it to look the exact same. There we go. That's perfect. And from the outside, I mean, it's looking pretty cool, right? I mean, this is lacking a bit of detail, but it's looking pretty futuristic. I think it's looking a little bit crazy. We need to adjust the shape of the, I keep calling it a silo, it just kind of reminds me of the shape of one. Google it if you don't know what one is. And we're going to alter the shape of this by adding an extra row of light grey concrete in the corner here. So to the left of this, I want you to place a row of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 light grey concrete extending outwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 light grey concrete extending outwards. Now we can add a window. So the window is actually going to be right in the top middle of the shape that we've just made. It's actually going to be 2 entire rows, and we're going to fill said rows in using light blue glass pane, like this. Underneath this, we're going to leave a gap of 1, and then we're going to have the exact same shape, except we're going to leave it open. This is actually, that looks kind of weird. This is actually how we get out onto our water slide, so we're going to leave that open. So one might imagine that this is, since this is where one would walk out onto the water slide, this is a room. And you will find, now it should be in the center of this, but I guess I messed up. This should be one row backwards. You should find that the center of the room lines up with the tube that we have in the middle of the house. You know, these things aren't accidents, ladies and gentlemen. You know, this is meticulously planned. 500 hours of design, and it wasn't 500 hours. It was maybe 5. I don't know, maybe not 5. But the idea is, of course, through the middle of the tube leads you to the middle of the room on both sides. So it should be perfectly centered. Makes me wish I kind of would have made it, you know, later. But what can you do? We are going to be my bad. We are going to be destroying this tube so that it actually connects perfectly in between the middle of the rooms. But we'll be doing, you know what, very soon, actually. We'll do it soon. So, what else do we want to do? We want to decorate what I've been calling the silo a little bit more. So, like, 2 rows up from the ground, I want the same glass that we have here on the left side as we have on the right side. So, if you basically just knock out the entire row of the third row, I should say specifically, of the light grey concrete area. Why is it so hard to get everywhere? Why did I seal everywhere off? So, drop. There we go. So, I want to completely knock out like this row, and then I want to place just light blue glass block all the way around the inside of it so that we get that same cool effect. I'm even going to be adding some windows, maybe, to the corners. So, despite the fact that this is a circle, it has corners, which almost sounds as though that it can't be a thing, but trust me, Minecraft would prove you otherwise. So we're going to be placing this, so on the inside it looks just bleh, but on the outside, what's kind of cool. There we go, yeah, see, that's nice, it's a nice little bit of separation there. And what else are we going to be doing? Well, as I said, we can add windows in the corners, so where we have this row of extra light grey concrete in the corner here, you can literally like just chunk out that area and maybe even that row of light grey concrete too, so it's a bit more open, and you can just place like a corner of light blue glass block if you like it. I mean, it depends whether you like the design of that. I'm not 100% sure myself, to be honest with you, but I mean, we'll add it just for the funsies of it. But I mean, it looks okay. This part of the house looks weird without the water slide, quite honestly. You can add windows to the sides if you like. You can add the same, I want to say that that's about right, please be. No? Yes? Okay, perfect. Yeah, that was the same. So I'm going to follow that round since I got that right. Yes. Wait. Is it? It's this row. Yeah, it's this row. My bad. So it's not that row. It's this one. We can have the glass here and here. So yeah, very minor details. Feel free to add windows to the back, but I mean, there's so many windows anyway. I mean, you don't really, this house is like 50% glass. You probably don't have to add more windows unless you love windows, which you might. So in doing that, ladies and gentlemen, let's do the water slide. I'm putting off the tunnel because I'm really upset that I messed it up. So the water slide is essentially made out of 2 materials plus water. Yellow concrete, blue concrete, and some water. We might save the water for later. So, it's made out of yellow concrete. That's the edge of the water slide. So, to make this, there we go. We start underneath the extra light grey concrete that we added on the right side of the build. We place 2 yellow concrete extending out, 1, 2. We extend down, out, and then down by 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we extend, that seems a lot. Maybe it's just 3. Knock a block off. Extend, we'll extend down by 3, and then we'll extend towards us by 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're then going to extend down, left, and then that is pretty fine. We're then going to come, yeah, actually what we'll do is we'll dig in the ground to the left by 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then we'll dig up, left, up, left, up, left, up. And then we're going to dig left by 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll dig down, left, down, left, down by 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, down, and then dig to the right as far as, basically dig to the point where we started digging on the front, so just like this. And then we could reverse engineer this actually, but what I'd actually prefer to do is come back up to the opposite side of this room where I told you that the water slide started. I want you to place 2 yellow concretes extending outwards from underneath the light grey, 1, 2, and then dig down, out, down, out, down by 3, 1, 2, 3, not 4, it was never 4, and then dig outwards, extend outwards by 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then left by 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then down, left, perfect. So that's actually quite a good shape, I really like it. So the point of this is that we want to place blue concrete underneath the parts of the yellow concrete that are in the air. So the blue concrete is basically the base of the water slide, right? So we want to be able to place water in this, hence why we call it a water slide. And it wants to look a little something like this, right? So from the outside it looks like this. You can even like join it together so it looks a little bit smoother. That's actually so hard to get to now. I don't know if we can even get to that point, but you can even join it together is the point that I was making. Oh, we want to place yellow concrete inside the trench that we dug, the big shape that we made, like this, right? So we just want to basically just fill all of this in using the... There we go, perfect. So all of that wants to be filled in. It'll look like a little bit of a boring shape actually, but all this will also want to be dug out too, so we can dig all of this out. I just so don't want to do this right now, but we're going to dig all of this out using blue concrete. I realize that sounds stupid. We're not digging it out using blue concrete, although I kind of am. I am using a block of blue concrete to like shovel this out, but when I say that we're using blue concrete to dig this out, we're going to be replacing all of this with blue concrete. So all this is going to be replaced using blue concrete. Going to dig it all out just like this. Here we go. We'll place blue concrete in the bottom of this. Now, why blue concrete specifically? Since I've said it about 1,000,000 times now. Because it looks like water, essentially. You can use any material. It actually doesn't matter what colours you use with the water slide as long as you like them. Feel free to change them. I did consider orange because that's also kind of like a primary colour of this house. It's not used a lot, but I mean, it kind of, like in my head it is, so there you go. So with the blue concrete, actually looks like water already, despite the fact that it's not actually water. We can fill that part of the slide in. We have to fill the back portion of the slide in as well, so again, I mean, I'm sure that this doesn't really have to be expanded upon too much. We just need to add a backing to the slide, just like this. It's basically just behind the yellow concrete, essentially, just like this. And there we go. I mean, you can even turn... I mean, maybe this could be stairs. That might look a little bit better. I got tongue-tied there for some weird reason. So you could turn this into, like, stairs or something, just so that you can kind of, like, jump into the water a little bit easier. You could place some glass to the left and right of it, just so that perhaps it looks a little bit fancier than it might otherwise. But that's looking pretty good. We'll add the water at the very end, because that's my favourite part. There has to be a bridge. We're so putting off the tunnel. There has to be a bridge that goes over this part. It's actually kind of like a cool part of the build. It's made using grey concrete and all sorts of quartz. So you've kind of got to, we have to line it up with the entrance of the house, essentially. So it's going to be 4 rows wide. We're going to, it wants to be a couple of rows away from the actual edge of the slide. And it wants to be like we want to have like a set of quartz stairs. And then we want to have upside down stairs in front. And then we want to add another set of quartz stairs, like this. And then we want to have grey concrete in the middle, extending across, and there it will want to join a similar shape. So if we make the same thing, like if we leave a gap at, did we leave a gap or two? No, on the second row we did it. So we then want to have an equivalent row of quartz stairs like this. And then we want to have upside down quartz stairs, extending inwards across the sides of the grey concrete. We then want to place smooth quartz slab along the sides of the upside down stairs, and then we want to place light blue glass pane on the left and sides, on the left and right sides of the bridge. Why am I getting tongue-tied, guys? I'm leaving this in. I'm not editing that out. So now that we have that, we have a bridge leading over the water towards the front door of the house. So that is looking pretty good. I mean, if you wanted to make it perhaps a little bit fancy, I mean, you could perhaps connect it in the ground kind of like this. You could extend the bridge, so to speak, kind of like into the ground, and then it's like, yes, that leads to the front door. Something like that, maybe. I like the idea of kind of like turning this into a little bit of a mini water park. So later on, we're going to be adding a bit of birch just to kind of like frame the area a bit. But a lot of this house is actually made. So, the final part. The part that I'm disgraced over, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very embarrassed that we got this wrong. The tunnel. The tunnel has to be moved 1 row backwards. It doesn't have to be removed, but we just got to shove it back a little bit. We'll need orange concrete for this. We'll need orange glass. We will need smooth quartz stairs, and we will need smooth quartz block. So, 1 entire row backwards. It might be, you know what, ladies and gentlemen, it might be easier to destroy it, because otherwise it might get a tad bit confusing. So it might be easier to destroy, say, all but the, if you destroy all but the bottom row of the tube, right? So leave those bottom 2 rows alone for now. Destroy the first row. Add another row behind, so it can move through the house like this. We're going to have to patch up the house too. There we go, perfect. So destroy all but the bottom, destroy the first row of the bottom, add another row behind. That basically lines up with these entrances now. On the left and right side of the entrances, we want to have rows of 3 orange glass, and then they want to connect together at the top in an oval shape. That's all it is. So extending upwards, we want 3 rows of orange glass diagonally. Connect them together at the top the same way that they're connected together at the bottom, and boom, there you have it. I'm very sorry that I made that mistake. I promise this is the last time I'll apologize. I'm very sorry I made that mistake. I genuinely thought that that's where it had to be. I thought I was saving us some trouble by making it there and then, earlier. I was wrong. I have caused us some problems, but we've almost made the tube. Here, and then here. Perfect. So, the point of this, as you can see, leads directly from the left side to the right side. There's no other way to get into that room. That's the only way to do it. I'm going to fill the top of this in using light blue glass block, because or should I? Should I fill it with the light blue glass block, or should I use grey concrete? Might use grey concrete, because then we're using a lot of glass already, so the grey concrete might actually be a better choice, perhaps, question mark. So, yeah, it can lead all the way there. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. So, we also want to decorate. The tube isn't just going to stay like that. Unless you like it like that, there's actually no reason that you can't have it. But basically, on the left and right sides of the grey concrete area, we want to place orange concrete all the way around the outside of the tube. Just like this. It's actually very, very simple to do. Kind of what this reminds me of is it just reminds me of like a water slide. Like if you've ever been to a water park or ever seen a water slide ever, it just kind of, they have like these brackets, some of them, connecting like parts of the tube together. And that's sort of just the look that I wanted to go for. But then I realized it actually makes it look a little bit more futuristic, a little bit more sci-fi-y, I think. Or at least that, you know, I mean, it certainly adds a little bit of detail to it. So on the left and right sides, we want to add a double thick row of orange concrete. So just like this. And I just think it looks, there we go. It just looks sort of cool, and then I decided to add one on the left side, so just all the way over here on the left, joining to the quartz, I added an extra row of orange. It seemed to fit. If you don't like it, again, if you don't like it, don't add it, but I think it looks kind of cool. And then what I decided to do, because I felt as though that looked lonely, although, you know, it still looks cool, I like the idea of adding block of quartz in between the middle of the two orange layers like this, and then in the corners of the block of quartz adding upside down and regular, depending upon where we're placing it, quartz stairs. So just like this. So it looks like a ring. So it actually looks like a part of the supporting structure, and I just thought that looked cool. I thought that I just thought it made it look a little bit more sci-fi, like I said, but that's exactly how that's supposed to look. The only thing that we've got to do now, ladies and gentlemen, is we've got to add the water. I like to start from the top here where we have these stairs, probably going to waterlog the stairs as well, so that water will flow all the way down. It will, yeah, it actually doesn't reach the end of where we need to, so if we flatten all this water out, that will flow nicely down into the pool, and then we can make the entire pool area flat. So all of this can be flat, just like this. And then once you've actually done that, we will, nice. So once you've actually done that, we will have something which should look like this. Very, very happy with this. It's an awesome build. It's really weird looking, honestly. I've not made anything quite like this on this channel in a really, really long time. I usually save the weirder stuff for my second channel, but I thought as though it belonged on here. It's just kind of like a cool house. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to go away. I'm going to decorate the outside a little bit, not much, a little bit, and I'll also lay out the room styles for you on the inside. I'm not going to decorate it, but I will show you what I mean about my ideas on like how to lay out the room. So I'll go away and do that, and then I'll be back in a second. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is what the house will look like once it's been 100% fully completed. So the differences on the outside between what we have made and what I have now is the fact that I've added some birch planks around the outside of the pool area and where the bridge is. I have not really expanded that underneath the overhanging part of the water slide because I just wanted to keep things separate a little bit. I've added some leaves and some flowers around the front of the house as well, just to add a little bit of colour, a little bit of nature, and I've done the same on the back too, but very, very small amounts on the back. So that is pretty much it for the outside changes, but let me show you what I've decided to do for the inside. So for the inside, as we enter the house, we have two options. We can go left or right. So let's say that we go right because we're really eager and excited to don the water slide. We can't. This is just a room. You can pretty much put whatever you want in here, but we cannot get upstairs. So we are left to go to the left. And we have a similar room as to what we have on that side. It actually looks very, very similar indeed. But if we come to the very end of the house and we're like, what? How do we even get up there? Oh, what? A ladder? That's crazy. So we climb the ladder, we go up here, we find a little room, but we find the orange tunnel, which is really cool to walk through, by the way. I think that that's really awesome. Here's the water slide. So after doing a bit of exploration, we finally find it. But if you were to look a little bit further, we also have a room in between. This can be a pretty cool secret room. So you're so distracted by the water slide, the lovely water fun times that we have over there, that you don't find these set of ladders that lead you into a little secret room. And well, ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much it. I do hope that you guys have enjoyed this tutorial. If you have, please do remember to hit that like button, as it really helps me and the channel out very, very much. If you're new around here, please do consider subscribing and clicking the little bell next to the subscription button. That'll ensure that you get all my videos sent directly to your sub box. And if you do want to make anything else by me, check out the card system, description below, and the top of the comment section for more. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I love you all very much, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.